There is one thing that causes men to fail without them ever realizing it. It's not because they're weak. It's not because they lack talent. It's because they speak too soon. They say what they want. And in that very moment, they give away control. The world doesn't attack the silent. It attacks those who reveal their ambition. And once others know what you desire, they don't need to fight you. They just hold that thing in front of you and pull the strings. This isn't a theory. This is how power works. If you've ever found yourself manipulated, delayed, or disrespected, stay. This video will change the way you walk from tomorrow on. Part 1. Don't let them know what you want. He spoke too soon. I want her. I need this job. I just want to be respected. And that was it. The person across from him said nothing, but they understood. He had just given away his weapon. Not a knife, not a gun, but predictability. They didn't need to strike him. Just wait. Wait for the right moment to pull the invisible string he tied around his own neck. He thought he was being honest. They only saw easy prey, because every prey gives off a signal. And that signal is exposed desire. People don't attack what they don't understand. They attack what they see clearly, especially those who are hungry. The hungry will eat any bait, whether it's real or a trap. The hungrier you are, the more they laugh. Because they don't need to win, just keep you stuck there, with your empty stomach. There are people who never speak of what they want. They don't beg. Don't plead. Don't boast. They don't wear signs like, "I need this," and because of that, they're hard to control. You can want. Everyone wants. But the moment you speak it, the moment you name it, it's no longer yours. It becomes something they can offer, then take away. Give, then withdraw. Feed you hope, then shatter it. That's what Machiavelli understood long ago. Being straightforward isn't always brave. Telling the truth doesn't guarantee respect. The world doesn't run on goodness. It runs on leverage. And words are the cheapest form of leverage. He who speaks too much loses ground. He who reveals the map gets led away. You think you're building connection, but really, you're stripping off your armor. You're stepping onto the chessboard, turning yourself into a pawn. The one who says nothing looks more dangerous, because no one can guess what he'll do. No one knows what he wants. He doesn't open the door, so no one knows what's inside. But you hang a window on your chest with a sign. This is what weakens me. They read it. They remember. And they use it. Not right away, but they do. And when they do, you won't understand why you've lost so much. But I know. It started with one small sentence. I just want a chance. Part 2. When desire becomes a trap. They don't need to strike you. Just observe. They hear you say, "She means everything to me. This job is my dream. Please, just give me a chance." At that moment, they have everything they need to control you. No power needed, just a little delay, a silence, a smile that knows who's in control. She begins to test you. No reply to your messages, no clarity, no rejection, no real hope either. Just enough to keep you hooked. She knows you won't walk away. You've already said it. Your boss starts to stretch things out. The promotion? Just wait a bit. The raise? It's not the right time. Because you already said, "I'll do anything." And someone who says that has no room to negotiate. They only nod. Friends aren't much different. You say, "I wish I could do something great." They nod. Then they whisper it to others, smirk, and quietly hope you stumble. Not out of hatred, but because they once wanted something too, and gave up. Your desire makes them feel small, so they pull you down. Not with stones, but with sincere blessings. It's not betrayal. It's the survival instinct of the weak. They don't want to see you rise using something they gave up on. Not everyone can bear the sight of someone who still dares to dream, especially when that person says nothing. What's the secret to power? Silence. Not out of fear, but out of understanding. What's unseen can't be destroyed. The more you show, the more reasons they have to control you. Not because they're bad, but because they can. You gave them the reason. You gave them the weakness. You handed them the map. And now you wonder why everything goes sideways. Not because you're not good enough. Not because you didn't try. But because you spoke too soon. Too honestly. Too much. Part 3. Keep the fire. Don't let the smoke show. You don't need to kill desire. You just need to hide it. Not extinguish it. Contain it. Not erase it, camouflage it. No one said you have to be emotionless. But if they see the flame, they'll try to put it out. If they smell smoke, they'll come closer with a bucket. The dangerous man isn't the one who wants nothing. It's the one who lets no one know what he wants. You can still dream, still crave, still want something so much you lose sleep, but no one must know. No one. In a world where everyone's shouting, calling, demanding, the silent man is a mystery. No one can predict his next move. No one knows if he's waiting or attacking. And because of that, they hesitate. They start questioning. They begin to fear. You don't need to prove anything. No need to show your plan. No need to update your progress. Just do. Small, slow, silent. Each action like a faint knock behind a closed door. They hear it, but don't know what you're building. A chair? A cross? Or a throne? Silence sparks imagination, and imagination is the most terrifying tool man has ever known. A man says, "I will succeed." Others think, "Probably not," and start getting in the way. A man says nothing, just disappears for a while, then returns with something no one thought possible. And they're left with one question in their heads. Why didn't I see that coming? The answer: because you revealed nothing. You didn't speak, didn't share, didn't pave the road for them. You walked alone, in the dark, and the darkness became your ally. You don't need a spotlight, just one flame, kept inside. No one sees it, but it's enough to light your way. Part 4. The one who talks too much is always the one being led. He talks endlessly, about dreams, about the girl, about the job, about the things he doesn't have yet. He thinks that's honesty, that it builds closeness. It doesn't. He's opening the gate for others to chain him. Every word is a latch, a hook, a leak. He talks about dreams. Others laugh. Not loudly, but they laugh. So he starts to defend himself, explaining, justifying, rationalizing. He just laid his dreams on the table, and now he sits beside them, watching others weigh and bargain. The strong man doesn't do that. He doesn't lay his guts out for the world to dissect. He doesn't let others step into his inner war. He just acts. No explanations, no updates. Because he knows. Once you say what you want, they'll ask, why? They'll start to doubt. They'll start to test. And if you're even a little weak, you'll begin to ask for permission. Permission to want. Permission to try. Permission to believe in something bigger than yourself. At that point, you're no longer the one taking action. You're the one waiting to be approved. You walk into the room and say, "I want to be recognized." Now the whole room knows how to control you. All they have to do is withhold it. No insults needed, just absence. And you'll squirm. You say, "I love you." She's not evil, but she'll start testing you because she knows. That sentence is a weakness, not because love is bad, but because you displayed it like a priceless object. You say, "I'll do anything for this job." Your boss no longer has to threaten you. Just stay silent. Just imply you could be replaced. You'll do the rest. Lower yourself. You think speaking is the first step to power. It's not. It's the end. The truth is, the man who talks too much is always led by the very things he thought were sincere. Part 5. Don't let anyone read your map. Machiavelli didn't tell you to be a good man. He only said, look like one. You don't have to be. Just appear to be. Same with this. You don't have to give up all desire. Just don't let anyone see it. If they can't see it, they can't guess it. If they can't guess it, they won't dare act. People don't fear the blunt. They fear the unreadable. The one who doesn't react as expected. Who doesn't get angry on cue. Who doesn't smile at the right moment. Why? Because you've stepped off the map. There's no route left to control you. No buttons to push. No strings to pull. You stand there, silent, not rejecting, not confirming, not arguing, not retreating either. And they start to fear that silence. Because when people can't read your intentions, they imagine the worst. That is power. Not because you threaten, but because you don't reassure. In the game of power, no one fears the one who craves success. They fear the one who doesn't need it. The one who walks into the room like he already has everything, even if no one knows what he actually has. They start asking themselves, why doesn't he need us? Why doesn't he chase? Why isn't he afraid to lose? And while they ask, you move forward, one step then another, leaving no footprints. When they turn back, you're no longer where you were. Not because you ran, but because you were never standing still. Machiavelli knew. The man who reveals his plans doesn't need enemies. The world will react on its own. Mock, block, distort, and then you'll begin to doubt yourself. No one needs to strike you. You'll do it yourself because you gave them the map. And now, they're rewriting it. Part 6. The cold man isn't emotionless. He just doesn't need to be understood. They call him cold. No smiles, no stories, no explanations. They don't understand. So they label him emotionless, distant, arrogant, wrong. He just doesn't need to be understood, doesn't need sympathy, doesn't need anyone stroking his pride. He used to speak, used to share, used to think transparency was strength, that if everyone understood him, things would get easier. Then they broke him, bit by bit, with little words, with doubtful eyes, with half-hearted smiles. He learned the lesson, not in blood, but in disappointment. Since then, he went quiet. Not because he lost emotion, but because emotions are something to be kept. Men like him aren't numb. They keep their emotions like they keep their guns, locked away, only drawn when needed. And when drawn, never misfired. You see him walk into a room. No one knows what he wants. No one knows what he's thinking. And suddenly, the whole room adjusts, gives space, lowers voices. Not because he demanded it, not because he threatened, but because they can't read him. And what they can't read, they can't control. Others fail because they always need validation. They need a nod. Need someone to say, I get it. But what does that understanding do? If right after they start directing you, disagreeing, pulling you back into their frame? The strong don't need to be understood. He doesn't build his life on consensus. He doesn't shape himself to fit the mold. He doesn't need the spotlight, just a direction. And he walks without applause. Part 7. You don't have to kill desire. You just have to make sure no one sees it. You don't have to become a stone statue. You don't have to extinguish everything inside. Desire is not the enemy. As long as it doesn't show its face, the fire can keep burning quietly, as long as no one smells the smoke. They won't try to put it out if they don't know it's burning. You can want success, want love, want revenge, want many things, but keep it to yourself, silently, tightly. Don't look at them with hungry eyes. Don't let your voice shake when you speak about opportunity. Don't let your hands rush when others turn away, because all of those are signals, and people are good at reading signals, not to help, but to calculate. You say, "She's everything to me." She may not know what to do with that, but she knows. Now she has power. Just by standing still or turning away. You say, "I need this job." Your boss doesn't hate you, but he knows you'll accept less because you've priced yourself with desperation. You say, "This dream is everything." Your friends go quiet, not because they don't understand, but because they've just discovered something that can hurt you. Not today, but one day, in a single sentence. A headshake, a comparison. What you thought was strength became an invitation for someone to step in, wound you, then walk away. That's why Machiavelli advised, never let anyone know what you want. Not just with enemies, but with everyone. Not everyone is cruel, but most are weak. And their weakness will find your weakness like a needle finds a crack. You don't have to give up your dreams, just cover them. Keep them like a blade, unrevealed, only drawn when there's no other option. By then, no one can react in time, and you'll be the last one still standing. Part 8. Silence isn't because there's nothing to say, but because no one deserves to hear it. You're silent, not because you're empty, but because you're full. Too full to let anything spill carelessly. You have things to say, but no one deserves to hear them. At least not yet. Not when they still measure worth by reaction, by explanation, by sharing to connect. Connect? With who? With those who'll turn your story into a joke? With people who use your pain to feel a little stronger in their own lives? No, don't need to share. You don't need to open up. That's a luxury for those who aren't being hunted. You're playing a different game. A game of shadows. Of movement without noise. Of steps that leave no trace. People ask, why don't you say anything? What are you thinking? What's there to hide? It's not hiding, it's protecting. Because once you speak, they start calculating. Not to understand, but to control. You say, I'm trying. They start demanding. You say, I'm enduring. They see you getting weaker. You say, I need to be trusted. They begin to test you. Each word, each sentence, is a piece of a map. And the one with the map doesn't need strength. They just need to pull you in the right direction. Silence is a way to not leave blood behind. Not avoidance, but defense. It's building walls. You're not made of wood or stone. It's just, no one can touch what's inside. No one should have that right. Machiavelli understood this. He didn't shout what he wanted. He wrote, in code, in metaphor, in strategy. Not out of fear, but because he knew. Words are double-edged blades, and whoever holds them can cut. You chose not to let anyone hold them. Part 9. The man who rises without needing to prove anything makes the world uneasy. You don't need to say, "I'm trying." No need to declare, "I'm working hard." No need to boast, "I'm about to achieve something big." You just disappear, then return. Changed? And that alone makes people uncomfortable. Not because you're wrong, but because you don't need them. Don't need praise. Don't need their attention. Don't need a stage. They begin to whisper, "How did he do that? What makes him so good? Did he cheat the system?" Number, you didn't cheat. You just didn't walk their path. And you didn't announce every turn. You're not the one who makes noise. You're the one who leaves silence behind when you leave. The way you stand still when others get restless. The way you stay quiet when others ramble. The way your face remains calm even after losing a big opportunity. All of that makes them uneasy because you don't react like them, and the world doesn't know how to deal with you. The loud are easily dismissed. The complainers are easily ignored. But the silent ones, the ones who move forward without asking permission, they don't know where to place you, so they put you in their mind. And there, you stay. You don't need to scream to be seen. Precisely because you don't scream, they can't ignore you. You're the mystery they can't solve. The formula no one teaches. The blank space they try to fill with rumors, doubts, and envy. You never invited them in, but they walked in anyway, prying, obsessing. That's when you win. Not with words, with distance. With what no one can name. With the one thing they can't stand, not knowing what you want. Part 10. When no one knows what you're building, no one can destroy it. You work every day. A little. No posting, no telling, no explaining. Just soft knocking in a quiet room. No one asks, no one notices. And that's the best part. You're building something no one's allowed to see. Not because you're arrogant, but because you're wise. Anything exposed too early rarely survives to completion. They love to know. To know so they can give feedback. To know so they can steer you in their direction. To know so they can compete. Or destroy. But if they don't know, they can only guess. And while they guess, you keep building. That's the biggest win. No need to defeat anyone. Just don't let them interfere. The blueprint is in your head. Not on a wall. Not on your lips. Not in a Monday morning coffee cup. They ask, "What are you working on these days?" You smile. "Nothing much." And that answer is the wall. The smart man doesn't ask anyone to keep his secrets. He simply doesn't speak. What you're building doesn't need an audience. It needs time. It needs patience. And it needs the absence of noise. People can only destroy what they know. Only block what they see. Only mock what's been made public. But when you're silent, when you work behind the shadows, you leave them with nothing to hold on to. No reason to dismiss you, no chance to strike back. And then one day, everything you've hidden becomes the thing they can't avoid. You step forward. No need to say, "I tried." Because now, everyone knows, even if no one saw you begin. Part 11. The one who reveals what he loves also reveals what he's afraid to lose. When you say, "I can't live without her," she knows. Just walking away is enough to break you. When you say, "I'll do anything to get this job," your boss knows. You'll endure injustice without protest. When you say, "This dream means everything to me," the world knows. Just one step of delay, and you'll collapse on your own. It sounds romantic. Sounds like loyalty. But really, it's a confession. A full declaration of what makes you weak. No one has to guess anymore. They have the formula now. You didn't just reveal what you want, you unintentionally exposed what you fear to lose. And people only have to threaten that, and you'll back down. They don't need to forbid, don't need to strike. They just need to keep it dangling in front of you, like bait. Worse than enemies are those who once loved you, now holding the leash. Not because they're evil, but because they know you won't dare break it. Even your friends, your family, those who love you the most. When they see your ambition is too big, they shrink back, and they pull you down. Not with punches, but with gentle advice, with fake worried glances, with drops of doubt. Not because they're cruel, because they're weak. And weakness always seeks the weakness in others to feel okay about itself. Machiavelli knew this. He didn't tell leaders to fight their enemies. He said, "Say nothing. Don't let anyone see what's burning inside you. Don't say what you love, because once they know, they'll also know what you fear to lose. And once they know that, they'll hold the leash. And you, even if you've never begged anyone for anything, will become the one being led." Part 12. When they can't guess what you want, every move you make becomes a threat. They don't fear your dream. They fear not knowing what that dream is. You don't have to do anything grand, just sit still. Don't react. Don't smile when they expect you to. Don't apologize when they expect you to bow. And then they grow uneasy. They look at you, but they don't see weakness, no crack to poke at, no door to walk through. So they start making up stories. He must be scheming something. He's definitely playing some game. He's dangerous. All because you don't speak, because you don't perform like they do, because you don't need them to know. In the game of power, your silence is an action, an act of disruption, of fear, of confusion. The man who says, "I want to be loved," will be tested. The man who says, "I want to be recognized," will be delayed. The man who says, "I want revenge," will be provoked into reacting too soon. But the man who says nothing is the one who makes everyone guess wrong. And when they guess wrong, they start reacting to things that aren't real. They waste their energy. They lose their direction. And you keep going. Without losing pace, without needing to prove, without dodging. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man doesn't need others to understand. The wise man only needs others to be confused. Because in that confusion, you can move through everything without anyone daring to block your path, not because they respect you, but because they don't know what you're holding." Part 13. In a loud world, the silent man occupies everyone's mind. Everyone talks, everyone posts, everyone tells. Every day is a contest to see who reveals themselves faster. But you disappear. Not that you've gone anywhere. You just don't let them know where you are inside your mind. You don't update victories, don't explain failures, don't justify the silence. And so they start talking about you. Not because they miss you, but because they can't stand the void. When you say nothing, they imagine everything. They create storylines, then convince themselves they're true. But you don't bother correcting them. You let them think. And the more they think, the more you take up space in their heads. Your presence isn't in your volume, but in the emptiness you leave behind. Not in what you share, but in what you refuse to expose. In a world of shouting, the one who doesn't need to shout is the one most heard. Silence is a tactic, but also a presence, the kind that makes people lower their heads because they don't know which way to look up. They ask each other, "What's he thinking? Does he still care? Is he coming back?" They don't know. And because they don't know, they can't forget. You don't need to appear often. You just need to make sure no one can ever clearly place you. Once, that's enough. They'll project everything onto you. Smart, dangerous, cold, calculating. The truth might be none of that, but in their minds, you are what they can't grasp, and what can't be grasped never disappears. Part 14. In this world, the one who reveals desire first loses power first. You say what you want. They smile, not because they empathize, but because they've just been handed the map. From here, everything gets easier for them. They don't need to fight you, just pull you toward them by keeping what you want just out of reach. When you say it out loud, you think you're being brave. But in truth, you've just shed your final piece of armor. The world doesn't reward honesty. It only uses it to bargain against you. You say, I need this job. Now your boss knows you won't dare leave. You'll do more, accept less. You say, she's the one I choose. Now she knows you'll chase. Just one backward step from her, and you'll run to her by reflex. You say, I just want to be recognized. Now everyone knows denying you recognition is the fastest way to throw you off balance. Machiavelli saw this. He said, never place yourself in someone else's hands. Not because they're evil, but because if they can pull the string, they will. They don't need to defeat you head-on, just make you chase. Once they know what you want, they're no longer afraid of you. So in this world, the one who reveals desire first is the one who loses leverage first. You can want, who doesn't? But keep it inside, like a secret, like a smokeless flame. No one sees, no one reads, no one controls. Part 15. You don't need to tell anyone where you're going. Only make them feel they can't keep up. You don't need to declare your direction. Just keep a steady pace. Silently. As for them, they look around and realize they're standing still. They ask each other, what's he doing? Why isn't he here anymore? Is he building something? They guess. They're wrong. And while they're still measuring, you've taken 3 more steps. No need to rush. No need to compete. Just don't stop. While others are busy thinking about themselves, you stopped thinking about them long ago. No resentment, just irrelevance. They live by validation. You live by direction. They need a spotlight on their faces. You need just enough light to see the next step. And because of that, you don't say where you're headed. No one knows, so no one blocks. By the time they realize, you're already elsewhere, and no train ticket can help them catch up. You're not running. You just don't stop. No posting. No telling. No apologizing for your silence. That silence is your real speed, not dragged back by expectations, not delayed by praise or criticism. Machiavelli never revealed everything he thought, because he knew those who don't understand you will fear you. Those who can't guess you won't dare obstruct you. That's what you're doing. Not hiding the road, just leaving no footprints. And they're left with only questions. How did he get there? When did he start? The truth is, long ago, while they were still waiting for permission. But you weren't. Part 16. Announce nothing. Just act. Let the result speak for itself. You don't need to say what you're doing. No need to explain why you're busy. No need to list what's coming next. You just need to act. People like those who are predictable, easy to track, easy to update, because they're easy to control. But you are not someone's calendar to monitor. Not an account needing progress reports. not a side character in their story. You are a draft no one has read. Every word you write is an action, not an announcement. You disappear from meaningless conversations, without explaining why, without apologizing for your silence, without laying out your goals. Why lay them out? For their approval, for their suggestions, so they can pull you close and hold you back. Number the result will speak. If it's good enough, it will echo. If it's not, you'll do it again. Still, without telling anyone. They ask, "Why don't you say anything? What's there to hide? What are you doing?" You smile. Nothing much. And they get frustrated, because they want to know. They want to interfere. They want a piece of something that's growing without them. They live in the spotlight. You live underground. And when the tree breaks the surface, it already has roots, a trunk, and it's ready. No one saw when it was planted. And that makes them feel small. Machiavelli would say, "Silence is the ally of the strategic." You're not silent because there's nothing to say. You're silent because you're busy doing. Doing without boasting. Doing without updating. Doing without seeking agreement. And while everyone's still waiting to see if you'll actually do it, you're already done. Part 17. They'll fear what they don't understand and imagine what you don't say. Silence doesn't make you weak. It makes them afraid. Because what can't be named can't be controlled, can't be labeled, can't be countered. They don't understand you. So they fill the void with speculation. He's planning something. He must have a scheme. He's dangerous. They create an enemy out of the uncertainty they can't tolerate. You don't need to speak. You don't need to act. Just be different from them. They see you don't smile on cue. Don't talk about what you're doing. Don't speak up to defend yourself when misunderstood. And they pull back, not out of respect, but out of suspicion. Because they're not sure if they're facing a man or something they've never encountered before. Your silence makes them create a story. That story is often darker than reality. Because human imagination, when lacking information, always leans toward the worst. You don't need to threaten, just don't comfort. Don't soothe their panic about something they can't define. Machiavelli understood this. He didn't reconcile with ignorance. He used it as a weapon. People don't fear the obvious. They fear what lurks in the dark. When you say, "I just want to succeed," they think, "We know how to stop that." But when you say nothing, they don't even know what they're fighting. And in that confusion, you walk right past them quietly, and no one dares to block your path. Part 18. When they think you're not trying, that's when you're moving the furthest. You don't react, don't post, don't explain. They think, "He's not trying. He's lazy. He gave up." Good. Let them think that. Because while they're still talking, you've already moved 3 blocks ahead. In your mind, in your mindset, in your progress. You don't need recognition, because the one who needs recognition has to wait. But you move. They wait for you to speak, to announce, to ask for permission to show up. But you don't. You just do. You know, a single quiet step causes no reaction, but 5 silent steps in a row. By the time they notice, it's too late. They didn't see you start, because you didn't need anyone to know. When the result shows up, they're surprised. Not because it's too good, but because they couldn't track the process. And so they start feeling small. They have to ask themselves, "How did I not see this coming?" Because they were busy talking, and you were busy doing. Machiavelli wouldn't say, "Make people see your effort." He would say, "Act so quickly they can't react in time." The quieter you are, the more they get complacent. They loosen their grip. They take their hands off the wheel, and by the time they realize, your car is already ahead. No headlights, no honking, just a faint trail of smoke left behind. Part 19. Don't need to be understood, because the one who understands you today might betray you tomorrow. You want someone to understand you. That's normal. Who doesn't? But that's the first trap. What is understanding? It's them stepping into your mind. It's them seeing you clearly. It's you handing them the blueprint, every crack, every old scar. Today, they call it empathy. Tomorrow, they'll call it leverage. The one who once said, "I understand you," will be the first to know where it hurts. Know when you're tired. Know how to make you react. And in a moment of weakness, they'll use it, not out of hatred, but because they're weaker than you. And weakness always chooses the shortest path to pull others down. Machiavelli didn't write to be liked. He wrote to remain unreadable. He understood. The one who understands you isn't always a friend. They're simply the one with the most chances to hurt you. And if the chance comes, they'll consider it. No need to make them evil. Just put them in a situation where their survival depends on manipulating you. They'll do it, without hesitation. That's why you don't need to be understood. You only need to be unguessable, unaffordable to assume, untouchable to step into. The one who understands you may walk away the moment you're weakest. The one who doesn't will always keep their distance. And sometimes, that's the highest form of respect. Silence isn't for detachment, it's for safety. Not because there's nothing to say, but because some things, once misunderstood, can never be reclaimed. Part 20. The one who controls desire cannot be controlled, and the one who needs nothing has everything. You still want. Don't pretend you don't. To love, to succeed, to be remembered after you leave the room. But the difference is, you don't reveal it. Don't let it run ahead of you. Don't let it become a signpost for others. The one who has everything doesn't win by grabbing. They just know how to keep people from knowing they're thirsty. The world doesn't reward the beggar. It rewards the indifferent. The quieter you are, the more they want to give you what you never asked for. They think, he doesn't need this, and so they want to be the one he chooses. That's the paradox. The more someone chases, the more they're fled from. The more someone stays silent, the more they're followed. Machiavelli knew. You don't have to hide ambition, just encrypt it. Wrap it in action, bury it beneath layers of calm. You can burn inside, but if you keep that fire underground, it won't consume you. It becomes the engine. But if you let the fire show, they'll come. With water, with stone, with fake advice and unconscious sabotage. You only need one thing, to remain unreadable, uncontrollable, and that begins with keeping desire to yourself. Don't let them know what you love, because then they'll know what you fear losing. And once they know what you fear, they don't have to defeat you, just make you hesitate. That's enough. You don't have to give everything up. Just act like you could. The man who fears nothing is the man who can't be bargained with. And the man who needs nothing is the one who is given everything. Not because he's better, but because he revealed no weakness. And in a world where everyone shouts what they want, you, who walks quietly, without signaling, without selling, are the one they watch. They can't understand you, can't control you, can only whisper about you as someone who needs nothing, but somehow has everything. Conclusion: you don't need to be understood. Don't need to be praised. Don't need anyone to say you're worthy. You only need to stay silent, stay steady. Keep the fire inside without letting anyone smell the smoke. Because in this world, those who speak their desires will always be pulled back by promises, by delay, by their own hunger. But you're not hungry, at least not in a way they can see. And because of that, you can't be controlled, can't be held down, can't be cheapened. You ask for nothing, but in the end, everything comes to you, because the one who needs nothing is always the one who gets chosen. If what you just heard made you quiet, made you think, or made you walk differently in this world, share it, not loudly. Just send it to someone who needs to hear it. One sentence, one link, one signal is enough.